Hey sports fans, Haroon Rashid, Khemeia Consulting, and welcome to Haroon's Hangout, the marketing innovation show, internationally featured show where we make digital marketing simple, straightforward, and fun. Today, a very special episode with Mr. Jon Stephenson from Khemeia Consulting. Hey, Jon.
Hey, good morning, Haroon. Thank you very much for inviting me onto Haroon's Hangout. It's fantastic to be here.
Great stuff, man. Been looking forward to this for a while. So for those of you who don't know, Jon Stephenson is our head of business insights, where he does all kinds of stuff around new product assessments, product launches, and market insight reports and all that good stuff. And we're really pleased to have Jon on the show today. And it's going to be a really fun show today, Jon, because we're going to be talking about business buzz phrases and words that we hate.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, we've been talking about this on and off for months, haven't we, actually? And quite recently as well, where we come across so many, buzzwords, phrases, these phrases that just business community just keep using again and again and again. And we're like, but what do you actually mean? And I think we're just going to blow off a bit of steam and just talk about which ones grind our gears the most. How does that sound?
That sounds fantastic. I think, let's face it, in every walk of life, you always meet someone who loves a business phrase or a catchphrase. Some people really overuse them. Other people use them really sparsely. But when you take a step back, what do these words actually mean, and do they actually serve a purpose? In short, I don't think they do.
Well, let's see then. So Hubspot did a great article, and they did I think, in fact, I'm going to bring it up on the screen here. There you go. So they did a blog post, I think it was last week or something like that, but fairly recently, the world's worst business babble translated into human speak. And me and you loved this one because a lot of it was phrases that we kind of hated. But I know it's been a while since you've seen that post. I was going to say I've got the post here.
Yeah.
Now there's 20 phrases that they've put on there. I'm not expecting you to get all of them, and some of them are quite American as well. But I was going to say, do you want to try and guess what is on this list?
Yeah, sure, that'd be great. I'm going to try and guess about 5. So some of them I'll get, some of them I won't get. The first one for me is called "Coming Down the Pike."
Coming down the pike.
Now then,
that's it. It's number 4. Number 4. Yeah, that's it. What does that mean?
Great question. So earlier this year, I was at an innovation conference, and one of the breakout sessions was all about what's happening in the future, which way is the market going to go, what's going to be the next disruptive technology. And one of the slides' heading title was "Coming Down the Pike." And that was the first time that I'd heard it. And it made me giggle. I almost laughed out loud in the open auditorium. Felt like a naughty schoolboy once I'd heard it, my reaction to it. What actually does that mean?
HubSpot have gone and said it's another way of saying something's going to happen in the future. You might find it easier to just tell someone something is going to happen, which I agree with. So it's something that's coming in the future?
Yeah, or alternatively, why not just say, expect this? This is going to happen next.
Well, I was going to say, I thought that might have been a Yorkshireism, but if HubSpot from Boston, Massachusetts, are saying it, then it obviously must be a business buzzword or phrase, sorry, that's an international thing, so it's definitely not Yorkshireism. Okay, no. What else have you got?
Okay, this one is usually all centered around networking. So like yourself, I attend quite a lot of business growth and innovation networking sessions around the local area. And this is something that slipped into the Yorkshire dialogue. And this one is, I've just said it there, is start a dialogue.
Start a dialogue is on the list. Well done.
Hey, hey. So,
Start a dialogue. Go on.
ultimately, what's wrong with let's talk, let's start a discussion, instead of start a dialect? We're not robots.
Yeah, absolutely. HubSpot have said here, the implication here is that you'll start on, sorry, the implication here is that you'll start an ongoing discussion that's a two-way street instead of offering a directive with no opportunity for discussion. However, there are simple phrases like ask or talk to and meet that work just as well. So, yeah, let's start a dialogue. It kind of sounds a bit condescending sometimes, I think, depending on who's saying it or even how they're saying it. But if someone came up to me and just said, can we just start a dialogue? I'd be like, that's weird. Why can't you just say, can we have a chat?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
What else are you going to guess then? You're on a roll. You're 2 for 2 at the moment. What else have you got?
Okay. The next one is probably something that I've been aware of, certainly for the last couple of years, but it seems to be being used more frequently over the last couple of months. And again, it's something that I've heard inside business meetings, and it tends to be a phrase which holds everyone hostage to fortune in a meeting when you hear this word. And effectively, it just means that the agenda just goes out of the window when you hear it. And that's simply, let's whiteboard it.
And that is on the list. Well done, 3 for 3.
Okay. Yeah. So as I say, I think that's just forget about the agenda. Let's just do this and not what the actual agenda is. And yeah, it doesn't work for me. Let's whiteboard it.
And HubSpot also say, here we go, if anyone ever says, let's whiteboard it, they're about to hold the meeting hostage with a dry erase board and a marker. If, however, they ask people to brainstorm, think through, lay out, or talk out an idea, things should be all right. Which is pretty much what you said there, yeah. Let's have a brainstorm.
Yeah.
Now, what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
I think what I'll do is I'll go through because there's so many here, and you're obviously on a roll. So I'll go through all of them. One is thought leader.
Yeah.
And that's Ian's favourite.
It is.
Yeah. Ian Sharp is the head of Khemeia, for those of you who don't know. His favourite phrase, and I know if he's watching this, Ian, it's just for you, I know you love this, thought leader. Ian, you're a thought leader, aren't you? Or maybe he'll call in live as we're doing this, I don't know. But thought leader is there. 2 is opened the kimono. The kimono.
Never heard that one. That must be something our American friends use.
Yeah.
I've yet to experience that.
Yeah. Number 3, and we've heard this one, core competency.
Yeah.
Oh, how dry is that? That's very business plan, very textbook, very we know about business. We talk about core competency. So, yeah. Number 4 is coming down the pike. 5 is start a dialogue. 6, and you'll love this, John, utilize.
Ah, wonderful. Wonderful.
And HubSpot say about this one, the word every editor changes to use. Just say use.
Yeah. I mean, I think ultimately with that one, you've got to put a context around it. And the idea of utilizing, well, it doesn't work as a word. You need to build a nice paragraph around it, or you need to expand on it. But alternatively, just use the word use.
But exactly, and I was with one of our strategic partners, RPA Design, last week, and the head of that is Rob Pratt. Great guy. Hopefully, we'll get him on the show. Rob, if you're watching, love to have you on Haroon's Hangout or any of our shows. Really great branding agency, and he said the exact same thing on this thing. He goes, when we were talking about copywriting, and he just went, so many people want to use the word utilize because they want to sound important, but he goes, every time I say, just use the word use. What's wrong with it? Just be normal. That's all I can do. Number 7, and we use this ourselves, but I'd like to think that we do explain it. But leverage.
Yeah, fair point. Again, I think to go back to Rob Pratt's point, it needs to have context around it to understand what the devil you want to leverage.
Absolutely. Next is whiteboard it. Number
Yeah.
9, I've never heard of, and I'm wondering if this is one of our American friends'
Yeah.
term, but ideate.
I've heard that a little bit, but in the context of business modeling. So one of the first steps with business modeling is to thrash out an idea. And dare I say it, an idea is often thrashed out on a whiteboard.
Why do ideas have to be thrashed, by the way? Why can't we just be gentle with them? And
It's a fair point. It's a fair point.
I feel sorry for ideas. They seem to be getting abused in every way possible.
They do, yeah.
The next one is, now I like this one, take it to the next level. But I'm going to say that in Bradford, where we are, Bradford, Yorkshire, we always go, if I was going to be a Bradford lad, I'd go, bro, take it to the next level. Like that.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah.
Okay, next. I've never heard this one. Learnings, plural.
Particularly dislike that one. I'm struggling really. What it reminds me of is The Hobbit. It's something something you'd expect to hear on The Hobbit in terms of learnings from this book of wisdom.
Awesome, yeah,
you know,
definitely.
In Khemeia speak, what we would rather say is perhaps 2 words: learned,
yeah,
or takeaway. What do you expect to learn from this?
Definitely.
The term learnings just seems a tad clumsy to me.
No. I wouldn't say that. Next is weird. Best in breed. I've never heard of that one. And HubSpot say a phrase that simply means you want to be the best and has turned business into the Westminster Dog Show. I like that. Consider alternates like standout, top, or simply best. Best in breed, that's a bit weird. I don't think we would use that over here, but
I've heard it and I've seen it at the launch of new products or services, and this is where we are now. This is where we want to get to in the future, and we're determined in the next 0 to X years to be best in breed product or service. It's a statement of intent, but when you actually look at it and strip it right back, every company that's got a product or a service could argue that, hey, we're best in breed. But how do you define that? What does that actually mean?
But then you say breed, you think dog.
You do, don't you? I think Crufts.
First time John's on the show and we're talking. Yeah, anyway. Next is shifting paradigms, or I guess you could say paradigm shift. And I heard this in a meeting that I was in about 2 or 3 weeks ago. But yeah, shifting paradigms, we've all heard that one. The next one, though, is something I've never heard before. Boil the ocean.
No, that's new to me. And when I read the report a couple of weeks ago, or article, sorry, that you referred to at the top of the show, I hadn't come across that either.
And it's saying a cute way of saying you're taking on too much. This phrase might be better replaced with a straightforward saying like taking on too much or impossible. I guess we'd probably say something like burning the candle at both ends, or you've bitten off more than you can chew. That kind of thing, but boil the ocean. It might be an American thing. 15, I've not heard of either. Move the needle.
No, thankfully I haven't heard that used in on a meeting, networking, or in a presentation. But thankfully, certainly not in a business report.
This next one is really interesting though, because over here it means something different. Now, if I say to you, John, what does this mean? Out of pocket. What does it mean to you?
In good old Anglo-Saxon terms, that means brassed. I haven't got any money. Out of pocket.
Yeah,
Skint.
exactly. So you're out of money. You're skint, you haven't got any money.
Yeah.
For these guys, they say out of pocket is a way of saying you'll be unreachable.
Is that in the world of contact, in the world of 24/7, always on communications, I wonder?
Yeah, and we just probably say unreachable or incognito or something like that, but yeah, that's funny. 17, noodle on it.
No.
Noodle on it. something can be less creepily described by phrases such as "I'll think about it" or "Let me think of some more ideas." So I'm thinking it's noodle your brain, whereas we say things like "We'll mull on it," maybe. I don't know if the Americans have heard that. Hubspot, if you're watching, have you ever heard of "We'll mull on it"? M-U-L-L, I believe. Let us know about that. 18, definitely an Americanism. Punt, P-U-N-T. You've got to make sure you say that one correctly.
Yeah.
And it's a sports analogy, so you can punt an idea, which means postponing or putting something off. 19 is ping. If you want to ping somebody, means you're looking to talk to them, maybe via an instant message or a call. Pinging somebody, I don't think we use that one. But the last one is something that we do use over here, but not as often, and it's circle back.
Yeah, speaking of which, and this isn't fixed to anyone who's watching this, I have a confession to make. I'm holding my hand up here.
I'm seeing the hand. It's raised. His hand is there.
Yeah, it's there.
He's raising his hand.
Haroon, let's circle back to number 17. I think it was 17. And punt. Now, I held my hand up, and I have used punt. Recently, I've used it in a blog post. So, kettle black and all that.
I think I'll edit that blog post now.
Yeah. That's,
straight after the show.
That's a yellow card, isn't it, in football parlance? Yeah. I won't use it again, otherwise it could be a red card. I'll get sent off. So, yeah.
And I like the way you used circle back to get us to punt. That was really good. So really good. So that's a great article by HubSpot. We'll put it in the show notes so you can go check it out for yourself. Do retweet it, share it on your social networks. It's a great article. We really loved featuring it on the show. Now, in terms of our, which buzz phrases do we hate? I would say for me, the very top of the list is when people say add value or create value. That's number one for me.
Yeah, I agree. So expand on that a bit more, Haroon.
Well, we were talking about this just before we went live, but I'll say the story again for the audience. But it's like probably, what was it, 2 or 3 months ago, I put on a LinkedIn group discussion, something around about email marketing. I can't remember what it was. Something about email marketing tactics or whatever. No, that was it. How you should you build your list organically, or should you buy data?
I remember that conversation. It got a lot of traffic on 2 LinkedIn groups, discussion boards that we use in the
That's right.
area.
Quite controversial. And some people were saying, it was very divided, wasn't it? People were saying, no, you should build your list organically, and some people were going, no, you should buy data.
Yeah.
And my argument was, we were talking about it, and I said, well, whichever way you do it, what's the content going to be in the email? What are you actually going to put in the email? And I got a flood of response from people who were saying things like, it just has to be something that's valuable to the customer, as long as it adds value, as long as it creates value for the customer. So I said, that's fine. I don't mind people using the phrase. Don't get me wrong. You use the phrase, fine. And I just said, okay, so give me an example.
Yeah.
And I got a response to say, well, it just has to be valuable. And I'm like, okay, hang on.
Yeah.
You just said to me, you want to create value. So I've said, what do you mean? And you said, it has to be valuable. You've just used the same word I'm asking you to describe. And they were like, well, Haroon, what do you mean? So I listed a load of stuff. I said, is it your boring, stale newsletter? Is it a coupon? Is it a latest vlog post? Is it a video tip? Is it this? Is it that? And I listed about 6 or 7 things.
Yeah.
Didn't get a response. And I don't like it. And I think that everyone is so quick to say, we're going to create value. I'm fine with that. Fine, use the phrase. But I like it when I say, okay, so how do you create value? What do you actually mean? And it's great because when I'm talking to people, some people can give me a very concise answer. They've thought it through. If it's an accountancy firm, for instance, they go, we make sure we create a lot of value for our clients. And I might say, how do you do that? Some of them will say, we break down really complex accountancy and we make it so simple for our customers to understand. We have training guides, we have this, we have that, we have consultations and all that kind of stuff to make it to put the customer at ease. That's value. Whereas someone who just says, "Oh, we're just making it valuable." Don't try and say that to me. Have an answer, man. What do you think?
I agree. Another spin on it as well is that usually if companies publish their mission statement at some point in the business babble is the word value. But sometimes they wrap it up in a meaningless context and it's generic and it could be for any business and not relevant to their own business. And that's coming back to what do they actually mean by the word value? And it's a generic word, I think, that's tagged onto lots of different things.
Totally, totally. Have you got any others as well?
Yeah, I have. Last week I attended an innovation conference and we had a stand there and we had a really positive show. All the delegates seemed upbeat and excited about what they're going to do and how they're going to get innovation going in the local area and interfacing with, interfacing. There's a word that I shouldn't be using.
Oh,
slipped up. Talking to, John. You've got one yellow card already. If you get another one, it's a red card. You'll never be allowed back on the show again. Yeah. So at the end of the conference, we went and into a discussion, debating panel, and our head Ian Sharp was debating the issues of the day in the wrap-up conference in terms of what we've learned from the day in an open panel. But prior to doing that and going on and waiting at the back as such before to hop on the front stage, I heard a word in the previous panel, and that word was, and I still don't understand it, and if anyone has got an explanation to what it actually means or if they've heard it before, please shout out. That word is, let's triple helix it.
What?
I'm sorry. Triple helix it. What does that mean?
I was looking around as if like I had a producer, but I realized I'm alone. But if there was someone here, I'd be like going, "Have you heard of that? What is that? Triple helix?"
Yeah. Now then, that sounds like a medicine.
For someone quite chronic.
Yeah, a chronic condition. But what does triple helix mean? I'm still unsure on it. Has anyone got any ideas?
The reaction? Did everyone else kind of look around, and was everyone else confused by it?
Well, lots of people were nodding, but I wasn't too sure if that was a lively discussion or a reaction to something else that had happened before. But yeah, triple helix, what the devil does that mean? And have you ever used it? And in what context have you used that word?
If you've ever used that word or if you know what that means, please feel free to tweet us at the Khemeia Way. You can find it on our website, KhemeiaConsulting.com. We'd love to hear from you. This post is actually going to be on our blog as well, so if you are watching this from within our blog, please comment below, let us know, and we'd love to hear if you have done that. Also, I think that we should issue a challenge to our audience and say that we dare anybody to try and use that phrase, triple helix, in your next meeting or consultancy. Let us know how it goes. And if you're on YouTube, send us a video or just send us a message on any of our channels on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and all that good stuff. And we'd love to hear from you on that triple helix. In fact, I was at that conference as well.
Yeah.
And I kept hearing the same things. And the speakers were great, absolutely great. And had they been given more time, I think that they would have been able to maybe elaborate on some of these words as well, and some of these phrases. And the ones that I heard and the ones that I keep hearing, no matter where I go, every speaker, every conference, all this, we keep hearing the same words like leadership, collaboration, innovation, and any kind of other shun you can think of. But actually, there was one guy on the panel, apart from Ian, because Ian gave some examples, which is great, and we always do that whenever we say something. If we're talking about collaboration, we'll give an example or an analogy or something to try and illustrate the point. There was another guy on the panel with Ian, and I've forgotten his name. Please forgive me, but we'll probably find that out and put it in the show notes. But he gave an example. He used one of these words. He gave an example, and it was just so much better because you just thought, well, here's a guy who's not just using a buzzword or a phrase, but he's actually giving us an analogy or an example. It shows that he knows what he's talking about, and I think that we're not afraid of being controversial. I think that a lot of people are using business buzzwords and phrases as a cover. They've picked it out of a book, and it sounds very textbook. It sounds right. It sounds professional. That's another one I hate. But it's because when you dig down deeper, they don't actually know what they're talking about. And even like recently, we were talking about this again, us being an innovation agency. You remember when we were doing the content marketing plan for us? And we were doing all about the innovation stuff. And there was a point where we said, okay, hang on a second. What do we mean by innovation? What is our definition of innovation? So you look through most of our innovation-related posts, you're going to see a definition. Heck, we even create graphics to say innovation is this, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Very, very specific. And I think that in today's kind of online content-driven world, people need to kind of explain things a bit more. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'd agree. The chap that you're referring to, I recall what he said, and it worked because he used the power of storytelling. And the power of storytelling is great because it helps visualize the basics of what your message is and how you're trying to get it across. And I felt what he had to say resonated with me because he painted a visual story of what he was explaining about innovation, and to me that made more sense than a bland statement about value or a bland statement about innovation. He painted the picture and put it into context.
Absolutely. So we want to hear from you guys, the audience. What are some of the phrases in business that you hate? What are the words and phrases that you hate? Tell us why. Tweet us at the Khemeia Way. Get in touch on Facebook, on Google+, or on the blog. We would love to hear from you, and hear what you guys have got to say. And tell us any funny stories you've got. Don't name and shame anybody. That's never cool, but we just love to hear your stories. So I think we're going to leave it for there today, guys. How's that, John? Is that all right? Unless you've got anything else you want to add?
No, hey, that's fantastic. It just made me smile because, in essence, what we're saying, we want people to circle back and get back in contact with us.
We're going to take it to the next level, yo.
Yeah, sure.
Did I say that right?
Yeah, and then we can start a dialogue.
I'm 30 years old and I don't know what's hip now, so take it to the next level, yo. I don't know what I'm doing. So yeah, guys, tweet us, Facebook us, whatever you want to do. That's great. This has been Haroon's Hangout, the internationally featured marketing innovation show where we make digital marketing simple, straightforward, and fun. Next week, guys, we have Mr. John Hayden back on the show. That's right. The author of Facebook Marketing for Dummies is coming back on this show for a third time, where we're going to be talking about social media innovation, how to stand out with social media. You do not want to miss this because John is going to be going over a lot of stuff that he mentioned in the previous interview that he was on, but he's going to be going into a lot more detail about, techniques around contrast and how to actually stand out. It's not about shouting louder, it's about standing out, being different, and it's just going to be a great show. I'm looking forward to it. But we'll be on at a different time. There will be a landing page that we're going to create and we're going to be sending out to everybody, so do watch out for that. It'll be at a slightly different time. I think it's going to be 4 p.m. Greenwich Meridian time if you're in the UK. If you're in the US, then I can't figure out what time that is, but it'll be on the landing page. It'll be on the landing page. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. Really enjoyed having you with us, and thanks a lot to John for being on the show. Thanks a lot for coming on, John.
Oh, pleasure. Thank you. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you, Haroon.
Great stuff. Well, from me and John, take care, sports fans, and we'll see you next week.